Hello, everybody. This is Purge bringing you guys a replay commentary. Or, I'm sorry, replay coaching, excuse me. Not a replay commentary. Sorry to bait you. I promise I'm going to do a replay commentary soon. Replay coaching. Corgi the Commodore here. Current MMR is 2289. Things to focus on laning phase rotation and mid-game decision making. Some games you get ahead, but we don't know what to do mid-game, allowing the enemy to farm up and come back. Okay, with that said, I have corrected my confusion. I was reading the wrong entry. Okay, wrong person. That's another coaching, replay coaching. All right, this is a 2.5k player. Want me to focus on positioning and missed opportunities, particularly roaming and ganking. For this game, you felt I played well this game, but was limited by the performance of the rest of the team. All right, time to shut you down. Tell you what's wrong. First off, you're starting with very little regen. This is super dangerous. If you're laning against somebody like a Nyx Assassin or a Legion Commander, the reality is you're not going to have enough regen. I used to go a build very like this, where I'd give 2 tangos mid, and I'd be like, man, I just can never zone heroes. That's because I wouldn't have enough regen to compensate for their higher survivability and all of the other reasons that they were just simply more survivable. So, I mean, the Windlace is something you can get, but I just think it's kind of dangerous. I also think you shouldn't have ran across the whole map, because now by the time you get to the safe lane, they could have easily put a ward down to block your camp, and you almost didn't even get here in time to get the first bit of experience. So that was a bit of a mistake, I think. Now, what exactly are you accomplishing in this lane? By being here, there, at that point, all you're doing pretty much is right-clicking their heroes as they try to last hit. And I think that the most important thing to do as a support is to basically win the experience or a gold game. And the easiest way to do that is by pulling and messing up creep equilibrium. And you already messed that up partially by not getting into lane on time. Now you do have both camps spawned apparently. They're both here. But that means that you should be pulling those almost immediately. As soon as you come up against a dual lane that you're not going to be able to kill, and that's definitely the case when you're Shadow Demon and PA, you can't kill these two heroes really unless they get really out of position, or your PA gets level 2, or you get like level 2, level 3. So almost immediately what you should do is go to the lane, or go to the jungle and start pulling. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. Stack pull. You can stack it so there's 2 camps and then do a pull. That way the whole creep wave is denied and you can stay in lane harassing. That one's pretty good in this case because there's almost no way you can connect the pull. Because if you try to connect the pull, they'll probably walk over and interrupt it, in which case you push the lane. And it's still okay for you because you're still getting experience here. But generally, oh, you're trying to do a double stack. Did it work? It did not. That's hard to do because I think if you did it this way, it would work. But you tried to stack this camp on the longest... Actually, here. You tried to stack the camp on the longest aspect of the square. But if you go left or right when you do that, that's fine. So if you do it this way, it'd probably work. Anyways, after you stack it, you should have immediately pulled, in my opinion. So again, let's look at your PA. Creep wave's in a really good spot. They're kind of far back. Go back, start a pull. Farm it. Use Shadow Poison on this, probably kill it. I think this game was played right before the nerf to Shadow Poison mana cost as well. Like, these guys left the lane, and you're basically following him. But that's not important. What you could be doing is pulling. And I think that's actually what you're about to do. Oh, no. Oh, did it work? It did not. Oh, what just happened there? Let me re-see that. Okay, you just pulled late. You basically try to double stack this. You did get the small camp, which is cool. And if you do kill these later, that's good. But it would have been better if you just side pulled here and stacked this at the same time. Because you keep messing up the large camp one. Because again, you're pulling in a difficult direction. It would have been better if you went this way. So if you stack it, just to stack it. But in this case, it would have been better for you to just ignore this. And for you to just side pull this. And side pull it down. And then there's like 4 extra creeps here that don't come up here to get experience. That don't give your opponents experience. Like, you guys actually got a kill. I don't even know how that happened. Probably because you had so many creeps. But assuming he didn't die there, that should have been you pulling the creep wave in and you trying to farm like a double stack camp. You're basically not doing enough from a support aspect. You're basically just standing there in the lane, trying to right click them as they're last sitting, and that is absolutely not. That's like the laziest thing you can do as a support. It's the wrong move. I think I'm gonna make a new support guide because this stuff keeps clearly happening. I feel like I understand it a lot better. So let's see how he messed up. Number 1. The man has no base stats. He doesn't have a stout shield. Every damage done to him means a lot of damage. He also went aggressive on an enemy hero near all of these other heroes. So as soon as he gets up this far, he right clicks an enemy to aggro all of these creeps. So you have a huge creep advantage. And again, no stout shield, which means creeps do a massive amount of damage considering he has low armor. So he's pretty much already dead at this point. He basically just completely messed up. Super easy kill. So cool. You got a kill there. But really, you're not getting yourself more experience than you could. You haven't allowed your team to kill a single point of neutrals. You're consistently stacking the small camp, which is kind of cool. And I would recommend that you just farm this. You did like a half pull a little early. I think you should just clear this. Honestly, I would have, with my clarity potion up, I just would have cleared this. Cast Shadow Poison 5 times, blow it up, you'd hit level 4 minimum. And then with that level 4, it should help you better lane. Which should be your goal here, I think. That should be what you're aiming to do. You got boots, that's great. I'm not sure if you upgraded Flying Courier, but I hope you did. Check the small camp again. Again, you still have not pulled a single time. You do see the DD. I would just grab it personally. I don't know why he's trying to contest that. I don't think you sitting here is helpful. I think it's better for you to be in the lane or to be pulling. Either would be better than what you're accomplishing right now. Like, I just don't know why you waited so long. Maybe it's because the Tinker was going to come for it, but as you can tell, you just wasted so much time. Taking forever. And as soon as they went on your ally... Okay, you already messed up. I think you should have either, at that point, disrupted either the... Alright, right here is where you should react. Let me watch your player perspective, see how you're doing this. Okay, so here's a disruption range. So you got an option. I like that you poisoned here. I think that's fine. You either disruption your PA right here, or you disrupt one of the heroes doing damage to the PA, and because he wasn't stunned anymore, I'd maybe argue disrupt the Wraith King here. But continuing to cast Shadow Poison would be good. You're a little bit late to cast it a second time. That was not the hero that I would have cast that on. And just kill this guy. Yeah, you got Shadow Poison. Perfect. That's completely fine. The fact that you had DD made that really easily. And you're buying decent items, but again, you're buying a salve now, which should, I'm guessing, is to heal the draw range, or the PA, but I feel like it's a little unnecessary. And again, you missed another stack, or another pull. You could have pulled right there. The Ricky might have messed it up, but you shouldn't have known that he was there. You did stack the large camp, which is cool. You're checking rune. You're being pretty efficient, but you're not being, like, ultra efficient, I think. That sentry is a complete waste, in my opinion. It's not worth it for you to do that. Oh, that miss actually does so much. So far. Alright, I like the sentry. Oh, that's unfortunate. That was a good attempt with the sentry. Again, I really don't like this sentry here. I think this is 100% waste. That's 100 gold that you put on the ground to maybe spot an enemy observer ward, but look at the vision. It's actually very terrible coverage. If didn't catch this, would catch this, nobody's going to ward down here, and it would spot a Ricky. But you putting a sentry ward to know that Ricky is there to try to steal the rune from you isn't worth it at all. That's not worth 100 gold. So you messed it up. You should also be standing in lane getting these last hits right now since your guy is gone. That's a good use of your experience. Probably trying to give a TP scroll to your ally. That's good. Again, get the last hits. The Wraith King is actually just farming your jungle stack, which is pretty funny. But dying. This is hilarious. By stacking this 3 times, you actually prevented this guy from having any reasonable laning stage because he was scared about your stack being cleared, which means that he spent all of his HP due to not having a Stout Shield just dying to it. That's pretty good. This is a pretty good game. In reality, though, you should have cleared it almost immediately. You could bring yourself a Clarity Potion, clear it with like 5 Shadow Poisons. That's like almost 300 mana, and just have a kill. This guy you should not be that scared of. I think you're playing a little too scared. Like, as soon as you saw him, you should have started Shadow Poisoning him. Like, he's not that farmed. He's only level 4, I believe. He did get a crit he did get a crit on you here, which is scary. But I would have thrown a Shadow Poison and then disrupted, and then tried to throw a couple more. Because as you saw, you had a salve ready. And if you had just been going after this guy, like, see how much damage that dagger did? If you had just been casting Shadow Poisons on him here the whole time, you easily could have gotten his HP lower. Like, that could have been your 3rd Shadow Poison right there when he tried to TP, and then he just dies. So you weren't maximizing your damage very well, and that was kind of the case earlier as well. Your Sentry Ward helping out against the Nyx. That was pretty good. But you still haven't pulled. We're literally 8 minutes into this game, and you still have not pulled yet. That was pretty good. I like that play. So you're getting closer to Arcanes, but again, you should have this by now. You guys are stomping your lane in terms of kills, but in terms of last hits, you're doing terrible. Honestly. You're probably looking at your KDA and saying, I'm doing fine, but you have 4 last hits. You still have not pulled a single time successfully, really. Maybe this is all for Tinker in the first place. Maybe this was the communication. No, Tinker, get these farms, this farm. But you gimped yourself so that Tinker could get farm at 9 minutes. And instead, you could have accelerated yourself to help your team in a positive way. Like, Gratz, he got 2.5 stacks small camps and 2 large camps, but you could have done that, like, clear a tree here and then stack this as you check a rune and do that like 2 times and then go back to doing your regular stuff. You're level 6 at a pretty good time. Like, this is good. You're close to doing this well, which is pretty much the case for all players sub 5k MMR. You're close to doing this well, but you're missing the ball pretty heavily. Like, the reason you guys won this lane was mostly because your opponents had no idea how to stand in the lane and get farm. Not so much the fact that the way that you played the lane was super effective. And this might have been a good time and a good way to play your hero right now, by the way, in the fact that there will be ganks. You know that Nyx is level 6, which means that you should be anticipating where Nyx is going to go. And I think this one's actually super obvious, considering the fact that there's Ricky and a Nyx in the game. I think you should have definitely had a sentry set up mid, and I think that's a failing on you as a support and or your other support for not being there for that one. Because you should be anticipating those things, minimum with a sentry. And again, what does this sentry do? You're checking for rotations, you'll see the Ricky or whatever, you'll check for wards, but the place that sentries need to be this early in the laning stage is to protect against Nyx ganks and against Ricky roam as well. And Tinker's very vulnerable to both of those things. And I think if you just had a sentry mid here, he probably doesn't die. Or you could have sat behind him, sit in the trees over here. That way when these ganks come, you can at least disrupt and prevent this stun from landing or the arrow follow-up. I think that would be far superior. And now you're spending more money on sentries and observer wards, and you're probably like, man, I've never got any money as a support. That's weird. But that's because, number one, you are getting some kills, but you still haven't gotten any gold from pulling. You haven't cleared a camp. Like, that's the benefit of Shadow Demon. You cast 5 Shadow Poisons, and you kill almost any stacked camp. Once you have level 7, obviously. But like a stacked small camp, if you stack that 3 times and just cleared it, you give yourself like 200 gold or something. That's a crap load of gold for an early game SD. And you get like a level out of it at least. Like the things you've been doing have just simply not been very effective here since you got 6. Walking mid was okay, and you want to bring clarities or sentries, but now you're just sitting mid with the Tinker. Also, your camera movement is very confusing to me. Like, you're moving up here like you want to help, but you're not even looking. I'm very confused why. Like, you should at least look to see what's going on. I have no idea. I don't know which hero is there. If you look up here and you see Slardar and he's waiting for a fight or something, or he knows a hero's here, then move up and look at it. I'm not sure why you're not looking, but you need to gather that information. It's really important. Now when you finally look, now you know what's happening, but it's kind of late at this point. That would have been a great ulti target, because he was out of position. Great disruption, nicely done. That was good. I'm sure you'd love to have Arcane Boots. You got very close to it a couple times, but you're not getting there because you're spending so much money on all these things. Like, you've wasted minimum 2 sentry wards now. 1 here and 1 here. 2 sentry wards completely wasted. That's 200 gold that would be in your inventory. That could have been a faster energy booster. That could have been a sentry ward here instead to protect Tinker. You know, like, all of these things super add up. So you think, like, it's this, like, confirmation bias thing where you reaffirm to yourself that you're good support because you're buying observers and sentries. But you have to use them on valuable things. Otherwise, it prevents you from having different items that would be more useful as a support hero. And that's kind of what you're costing yourself right now. It's a very bizarre ulti. I don't know why you're not just using it. I would use it like right away. Oh, this is good. You can easily... Oh. Alright, you're misplaying this fight heavily. So, as he's respawning... Alright, the most important thing that you did wrong is you needed to ulti him right away. You want to keep this guy as out of position as you possibly can for as long as possible. And right now, he's somewhere around the middle. Actually, not even close. He's way closer to your tower, which means the farther... First of all, if he gets over here, then he starts juking, and that's harder to kill him. So you'd want to keep him in the middle of the lane. And he could also run back to base, and you want to keep him as close to your side as possible. So the first thing you do to start things is just ulti him. Does 200 damage, it guarantees that he's not moving much, and I think it lowers his attack speed. Can't remember. You also relate to cast the Shadow Poison. You should have passed the Shadow Poison through as he was respawning to start the stack, because the faster you get to 5 stacks, obviously the more likely you are to kill him. So even right now, you just casted your first Shadow Poison, and instead that could have been your second, maybe third. If you ultied him, he'd still be in the creep wave here. In the lane. Like, you're probably going to kill this guy. Ooh, please kill this guy. Okay, looks like you still got him, but like, you see how dangerous that was? That got really iffy. If their heroes just showed up or something, if Legion Commander was here and dueled you guys, or Nyx Assassin was in position, that could have just been you guys dying. But keep them out of position as long as possible. Your ulti is a 50-second cooldown. It's absolutely worth spamming there in moments like that. Oh, you transferred it to give him levels? I'm actually not a huge fan of that. I think sometimes that's worth it. It's okay on PA, because maxing out Phantom Strike pretty fast is good, but I would, if I was going to give it to any core, I'd give it to Tinker here, definitely. This hero becomes really effective once he's closer to 16. More importantly, like maxing out all of his 3 skills. Or I would give it to yourself to lower your disruption cooldown. That way you can cast them more often to save allies. That's probably what I would prioritize. Also, looks like you're warding or something, but the path you took to ward I think was really bad. Because you basically ran through the river, which means that if they have any wards in the area, they'll see you running here, which means they'll know you're warding because they check your inventory and say, hey, he's got wards. Instead, I would have preferred if you pushed up and snuck in through this way, maybe warded this cliff, or if you wanted to ward in this area, snuck over here this way and then warded. I think that's more likely. You're super dead. That's a little unlucky, but again, who knows? Maybe if you had another item or if you went a different way, you wouldn't have seen them, or you wouldn't have died there. That one's kind of hard to predict. But again, you're still pretty underfarmed. You're pretty much spending all the gold that you have on observers and sentries for your allies, and not actually helping yourself. If you had a raindrop, for example, I think you might have lived there. Who knows? Because it would have blocked 120 magic damage from the Nyx Assassin. That wasn't time to break your poison, I don't think. Also, I would not spam poison in moments like these. I think that's slightly dangerous. This is good. I would have ultied there. Okay, you're a little late to ulti. As soon as somebody comes out of disruption, I really recommend ulting. Don't think the Tinker cares. Heading back to the bottom. You're very close to Arcanes. I would actually farm a neutral camp right now. This is okay. Okay, this will work. Disrupt! Oh! Where's the disrupt? I think you thought you had more mana than you did there. Is what happened. 100% should have disrupted. I don't know if you would have killed him regardless. But I'm gonna put this up to the fact that you, first of all, don't have Arcane Boots when you should have Arcane Boots. You don't have a Magic Stick. You don't have a Raindrop. You also wasted a lot of mana nuking the wave before you even walked over to the rune spot to take that fight. So I think if you had wasted, you know, like one less Shadow Poison, it could have been the difference between you having mana there to disrupt, and that would have been a Legion kill. All that stuff really adds up. And even here, you guys are pushing a tower when your ultimates are pretty much on cooldown. You have no mana, so you do basically nothing. Even though you guys can see this Nyx right now, there's no reason for you to actually cast a spell. Actually doesn't do anything. You can right click now. I mean, that one's good, but it's like your Arcane Boots just came out at 15 minutes, but you had a good game. You're 4-2-4 and you just got Arcanes at 15 minutes. That means there's a problem. There's definitely a problem if you just get Arcanes at 15 minutes. That's not okay. And it's because you're not pulling. You weren't pulling and you're never being greedy for yourself. The only way that I have seen you be greedy for yourself is in the way that you would farm lanes kind of when people weren't there, and you did that in the mid lane a little bit. But you're not being greedy enough, honestly. That's what it is. Like playing support is not just about sacrificing yourself. It's sacrificing yourself when you need to, but there's times when you should be greedy. And the times that you should be greedy are basically laning stages, pull, clear this triple stack to get yourself farm. Screw Tinker. Screw him walking over to your lane and clearing it at 9 minutes. You could have just been level 6 at 7 minutes and ganked with it or something. Or been more effective in your lane to get advantage in that way. That would have been better and done more. You also showed yourself, don't show yourself on creep waves like this. I would also really like, when you have a carry that's easy to kill like PA, I really like having an observer ward in the lane somewhere here. It's kind of negative sometimes because your opponents will often anti-sentry to make sure that you don't have a sentry here. So sometimes they can get dewarded. But I like lane wards if they have gank heroes and my carries are easy to kill. So it's like you have a sentry here, but a ward also could be nice, is my point. You hitting the tower, absolutely not recommended. It should be maybe Warlock hitting the tower. Basically, both of you guys hitting the tower, especially right next to each other, is super dangerous. Because if Nyx Assassin is here, and I know that he's dead, but if Nyx Assassin is here and he stuns, he hits both of you guys. And you're the two that save people. You can disrupt and he can heal. Both of you guys should not be standing near each other. In fact, it should be probably just Warlock, maybe PA hitting the tower. That's it. The rest of you guys where you should stand is in darkness. And to show you where that is, we can just resume and look at the enemy vision. Alright, this is all they can see. So that means if Warlock's sitting in the tower and you just stand right here, they have no idea where you are. Unless they have an observer in lane, for example. Whose is this? This is their team, their ward. So this ward probably spots like here. It spots all of this, but it doesn't spot the area here. So you could just stand slightly outside of vision based on where you know their tower vision is going to be. And just don't hit the tower. That way you can always react to how your opponents go. So even if they have a Blink Dagger on Legion or something, and if he blinks in and initiates, he won't go on you, he'll go on somebody else, and then you can just disrupt your ally and start throwing spells down on the Legion. Or if the Nyx Assassin breaks from invis or something and stuns from range or something, disrupt him. Or if somebody else runs in, there's like a million things you can do, but this is the biggest mistake you can make, is vision-based things. It's by far the least touched upon thing that low MMR players do. They absolutely never consider what they allow their opponents to see. but you have to not allow your opponents to see something. This tower is going to die very soon. Let somebody else slap this tower. You set slightly in darkness. Even over here is decent with a sentry ward down, somewhere slightly outside of vision so that they have protection, and then you react to the team fight. And if you react to the team fight well, you win the team fight easily. Easily, super easily. So, you guys do kill the tower, but your positioning in this was not very safe. Like, if this guy got initiated on while somebody went in on you, then things suck as well. Like, your positioning is just not safe. You are way too far forward. They can duel you, they can stun you, they can stun you, they can silence you. You're not going to live with a Warlock heal if you get chain nuked. You're just dead. You don't even have survivability. If you had like an infused raindrop on here, yeah, that works out. And honestly, I've said that item a few times. It's really important to get this sometimes, especially on supports that have survivability problems or are tanky. Somewhere in the middle, whatever, skip it sometimes. But if you are really squishy, sometimes you need this to stay alive. I mean, most of the time supports should buy the item, honestly. With Tranquil Boots, definitely. With Arcanes, maybe not, because you should have more mana. But if you have this, for example, and you have Disruption, that means that the time it takes for any of these heroes to kill you is going to be massively increased, unless they duel you. Well, I guess if they duel you, it's kind of the same. But if they have to go through your Infused Raindrop, already, as soon as it damage blocks, you get like 90 HP from it, basically, assuming normal magic resistance. And if that goes through twice in a team fight, if you get hit, basically, by a nuke, and then you disrupt yourself, and you stay alive long enough for your Infused Raindrop to proc again, that's potentially 180 HP extra that you would have more than what you have now, based on nukes alone. Like, the survivability aspects of that is huge, and you can lengthen that based on disruption. So you and Warlock both having Infused Raindrops is an absolute necessity this game, considering Legion Commander has this skill, which is very good, and this guy actually skill builded correctly. And Nyx Assassin, this skill would definitely proc it. And Mirana, any Starstorm would proc it, any Arrow would proc it. And this guy throws his Wayfire. It's not full damage, but it blocks some of it. Like, those kind of items, like, support's jobs after all of that, like, laning crap, is to not die in the first couple fights. Because that's why heroes like Slark always win games, or that's what it feels like at least. Because they punish the squishy supports. And if you just buy items and get efficient in the early game with pulling, and it gets you to this period of time where you have like a wand and a raindrop, or like a cloak right now with a wand, you just wouldn't die. It'd be so much harder for you to die. And if you just don't die, the only way their carries get ahead is by farming, and most players at your MMR farm badly. So if they don't get kills from fighting, and they farm badly, they're just going to lose the game. It's that simple. So that's why survivability swing heroes like Shadow Demon, Warlock, Omni Knight are so good, because they do allow you and others to stay alive, and you have to exploit that, otherwise you're messing up. And you're basically giving your opponents tons of options because of the items you have, and because of the pulling that you're delaying, and the lack of greediness that you're taking for yourself. I'm not saying take last hits from your carries. I'm saying if there's nothing going on, cast Shadow Poison on a neutral camp 5 times to kill it, because it gives you 150 mana. And if you just pull a little bit more often early, and you skimp just a little bit on wards sometimes, or you don't buy a salve for your carry, or you don't buy an experience tome for your carry, like, you spent like 200 and some gold just to give all that crap to your carry, when he just could have had it himself, or gotten to his item timings better, and it delayed your Arcane Boots, which prevented you from saving him or other allies later. It's like, you're doing all this sacrifice, you're doing too much sacrificing, and you can balance it better. Hopefully that makes sense. And now, just walking forward to get to put a ward down, this is just so greedy, especially because of the fact that you stayed in the melee range. As soon as you spotted this guy and disrupted him, he'll appear here. Ulti him, but then run. Like, this was already too close. Like, you guys just slowly pushed a tower with 5 heroes. You should assume that your opponents are going to be there. And I don't remember exactly, but I feel like you saw them when you guys were near your tower, I'm pretty sure. And look at the fight. You guys actually lost 2 people despite you initiating first. And that's mostly because you were out of position being this far forward. And also because you didn't have very much survivability, honestly. Like, all you needed to do was get out of the Riki range, and you would have lived there. A wand and a raindrop, that could have been you living. This Riki's actually fucking insanely farmed. Is he a carry? He must be the carry. No, he's actually roaming as 6 kills. What the hell? That guy's so farmed. Who knows? Tranquil Boots, whatever. There's lots of reasons that you could have not died there. You and Warlock dying, though, that's not okay. Should just be like 1 max. So you're buying more sentries, which is fine, but again, you're still missing this whole survivability thing. You just finally solved your mana problems at 14 minutes, but now you're going to have survivability problems for the rest of the game. Mostly based on vision and detection and stuff like that. Those are all part of the issue. I like where you guys are moving right now. This is good. I would ulti him. I wouldn't disrupt here. That's because, like, disruption is good if you want to... If you need to buy your team time, but your ultimate kind of does the same thing. The only difference, obviously, is you can't set up for it. Like, right here, you could ulti him. Your range is, like, right there. You could have gotten him. Just ulti him. You disrupted, whatever. It lets your slaughter set up. But you could have done the exact same thing just by ulting. And then save the disruption for what actually matters, which is defending yourself or somebody else. Like, disruption should be used to save somebody that gets dueled, or somebody that's getting chain stunned, or is within a silence. And you ultied him here, and that's cool. But did you really need to do that? I don't think so. I think the first ulti was important, because what I talked about with positioning down here matters here as well. You could have killed this guy, like, right here. Instead, he's over here. That's closer to a tower. That means a small distance that somebody might have gotten their spell off. Like this right now, this overwhelming odds. That just landed because he got a little closer to the tower, for example. Right here. I bet you'd love to have disruption and save your ally. Didn't have it, though. Disrupt this guy for sure. Definitely disrupt that guy. Okay. If you had a wand or a raindrop, you live here, but you had 5 HP. That was so unnecessarily close. Let's see what you get. Ring of Health. Okay, so you're going Aether Lens, I guess. I am not a big fan of Aether Lens. I think it's too expensive, kind of. I mean, it's like the cast range is kind of nice, and it's kind of nice as well this game because of the smoke cloud, so this way you can sit farther back. But I feel like you're not going to use it correctly. It's not going to be justified. Like, it's an item that... This is a problem that a lot of people fall into, is like, they're like, oh, I have a arcane boots. That means I should... Oh, I can disassemble that and turn it into something? Well, I might as well make something that it turns into, right? But there's usually better things you can spend the money on. And like I said, survivability is a really big issue this game. I think the most important item in this game is actually Force Staff, personally, for 2 reasons. If you get Ricky smoke clouded, you can Force Staff yourself or somebody else out of that if you don't have disruption. And if somebody gets dueled a little bit too far away from you, or they're caught in a Ricky smoke cloud and you're too far away, then you can Force Staff yourself towards that person to then disrupt disrupt your ally. And here's another issue: you've been sitting mid for so long. You could have actually been up here with your team instead. I think you should have been. You being here to push mid lane is not very useful. Like, you getting an additional farm, it doesn't change the game very much, but being in team fights does. All right, I think you guys were dead here no matter what. Your team shouldn't have been up there if you weren't ready to be full force. Is my my argument there. You also max out Soul Catcher second. Very few players will do that right now. They will max out Disruption second, but I don't know. Maybe you can argue that it's worth it. Again, another sentry wasted here. Just throwing gold all over the place, man. So many sentries on the ground. Again, it spots their rotations, but that's only good if you don't know where they're going to go. These guys, like, Nyx Assassin is only effective moving around the map towards heroes. So if you guys are grouped up, or you're pushing a tower with like 4 or 5 heroes and you have a sentry down, it doesn't matter if you know where what time you walk past the Roche pit. You also used your last sentry now to take a chance at a D-ward on a cliff. That was a pretty good D-ward. I would have gone for that one myself, but I've done this before. I'll use my last sentry for a chance at a D-ward, and then I don't have it later for a fight or a push, and that really costs me. And then you have to spend another bunch of gold. Like, you just spent 500 gold on wards. Like, that's actually so much. Alright, disruption on the Ricky was pretty good, actually. Except the Ricky, you didn't have the disable afterwards, unfortunately. Ulti on Ricky is a-okay, great. Now you guys are all dead, I think. I don't know. Let me rewatch this fight. I think everything was real sloppy. So, chase here. You know, same thing. You could have ultied this guy right away. Look on the map. Realize that your Slaughter's coming over. Ulti him right here. And Soul Catcher too. You were super late on that. Because, like, by the time that you're about to initiate, he's already this far away. But if you just Soul Catchered him, his HP would already be down here. And you wouldn't feel like you had to, like... I mean, you're also too close is the other major issue. And again, look at your camera positioning. I don't even know where your hero is. I can barely see you right here, so I kind of know. But you're also not at your max range, and that's better because it usually means you're going to be safer. So I'll look at this from a free camera perspective. You should have ulted him right here, Soul Catcher him right here. Slaughter would have stunned him right now. He would be dying right here. He would die. Who knows? Maybe you would have even killed him before. Probably not, but kill him right here, he respawns, and then you got a fight going. But instead, because you didn't ulti him right away, he's now moved from here to over here. And now, look where you have to fight. You have no idea who's up on this cliff, and they could jump out at any time and stun everybody. And it's a much more clumped area, and you guys had some trouble with that over here after this fight continued. Everybody got kind of blown up. And again, because you're a little close here, you're kind of deep into the fight, and look at your position, you just kind of ran in a circle. As soon as the Riki showed up and you disrupted him, that was really good, because it bought your allies some time. But what you should have done is immediately ran away. Okay, I guess you couldn't because you're reincarnated, but you did turn around a couple times. I think you could have been positioned about here instead. And then I would have immediately ultied the Riki, popped your arcane boots, because this guy actually couldn't stun, by the way. He wasn't able to stun there, partially because the Wraith King stunned him, but also because he didn't have mana. So you messed that up too. And now things are, again, complicated because the Riki's here. You also ran out of mana, but again, you had arcanes ready this whole time. I feel like you would have lived there, by the way, if you had a raindrop again. I'm going Battle Fury. That's funny. That was funny. I had no idea what to do. And again, you also spent 875 gold on your Ring of Health, or 850 or whatever it costs. And you didn't even use this Ring of Health to make your Aether Lens very rapidly. So it's like, even this huge chunk of gold that you finally got, that you were gonna spend on making an item that should make your hero better, you didn't even use it. It just sat in your inventory. So like buying 2 items to complete them and not have them fully upgrade is like kind of mediocre. But minimum you should have a magic wand this game. Either magic wand or a raindrop. One of the 2 things is absolutely what you need. Getting better at last hitting is really important too. You only got 2 out of 4. I think you could get minimum 3 with a tower hitting. There's another 100 gold thrown into the wind. And let's see what you do with your time now. Could have stacked a medium camp and then farmed it. You are really about rune control, that is for sure. Like, runes are kind of important, but not over your farm. Like, this whole time period, you ran from top rune, then you ran all the way to bot rune to anticipate the bot rune. But what's the bot rune going to be? Like, the best thing you could get is an invis rune that gets you a kill. Anything else is not going to be good. It won't do that much. Maybe illusion can waste a duel. Maybe a arcane rune can let you farm a camp, but like, you walked across the whole map to grab a rune, and now you're moving to the bot lane to put wards down for vision and detection. Like, that's okay, but you have no purpose. It's 24 minutes into this game, and I haven't seen you do anything that sets up action. You've kind of like walked places and put sentries down aggressively to spot people, but I feel like you're not doing things that are smart, that are action. Except for this, moving to the bot lane is fine. Why did he run away? There were like 3 heroes top. Like, you guys aren't doing anything as a team well. Like, you guys are on different pages, basically. 2 heroes are always somewhere else, and the other 3 go somewhere else together. You should have been top with your team. With sentries, setting them up aggressively. Like, and this is the issue now. You're probably like, God, Ricky's so fucking OP. But the reality is it's 25 minutes. This guy's consistently been getting kills. You guys are basically constantly spreading out on the map and just doing things individually. And eventually, their team groups up as 5 and kills your 3. And now this guy's got 14 kills and a ton of agility items. But it could be so much easier for you guys if you just sat together and got stuff done. Or you had enough items. Like, if you just had a Force Staff there, you don't die easily. You just simply are not dead. But you don't have a Force Staff. It's 25 minutes in and all you have is Arcane Boots and a Ring of Health because you've spent so much money on Sentry Wards. You've got 4 Sentry Wards on the map right now, and maybe one of these has been useful. This one was good if you had all 5 heroes here pushing the tower, but obviously that didn't happen. So like you got to get on the same page a little bit and plan things out. I feel like you haven't been in the enemy jungle except for like once or twice. It's like the same problem with almost every other player. You kind of just go places and shit happens, and sometimes you get kills and sometimes you lose. Is basically what happens. And blaming your team for that is not okay because you're still a part of that. And your laning stage was quite weak because you never really pulled. All of these things super add up and lead to you not gaining MMR. Mostly the fact that you're never getting your items ahead. You're not scaling at all as your hero. Like, you still have not gone into a neutral camp once this game and just casted Shadow Poison 5 times. Like anytime there's downtime and your mana's a little full, especially if you have a raindrop as well and you have extra mana, you go to the neutral camp and you do this. Like you can walk to the rune right now and just stack poison 5 times on a wave as you pass it. Like this wave, shadow poison as you're approaching, shadow poison again, shadow poison again, shadow poison again, shadow poison a 5th time, then you're standing still. It dies, then you keep running. And now all of these idiots are at this point where they finally have decent items. And now you're just getting shit on. Because the laning stage went pretty okay for you guys, but you didn't do anything with your advantage, which I assume that you guys had. You didn't do anything with your advantage. You guys had a 3k gold advantage at like 10 minutes. That should be the death of the game. The game should be over. But they have all gank heroes, and you guys have bad gank heroes. And the reason that they're punishing you guys is because you guys don't know how to pressure lanes. And average pub players are very weak to gank heroes. Gank heroes are very strong against average players. Because this shit happens. Where like one guy will set up a kill and dag on you and you'll die. But really you should have like Glimmer Cape and a Force Staff right now. Is what you should have. But all you have is finally finishing your Aether Lens at 27 minutes. That's not okay. That's your fault. Like what is it, how does this even keep you alive? You have 920 HP, you have 5 armor. It increases the magic damage you deal, but in the cast range, but like it's absolutely not the item that you need. A Force Staff. If you had a Force Staff here, I'd be like, man, that's a tough game, but at least he's got a Force Staff. But you don't even have that. Like, all of the farm that you have does actually nothing. And I absolutely think you should max Disruption in a game with a Legion like this. It's like, this isn't about your team. It's about you as well. You're still one of the players on your team. And I assume it'll be the same in the next game that we look at. So let's hop into the next game. Right, loading up game number 2. You wrote about this one. A little bit on the stompy side, but still a decent Shadow Demon performance, you think. Alright, if you would ever pick your hero. Okay. Looking very similar. You got Windlace start. Yeah, that's another item you could have had all game. Windlace is really good. Basically, as a support, you should fill all of your item slots, basically, with good things that give you a lot of value. Things like Boots and Windlace is really effective. It's like a weak version of, like, Force Staff, in a way, if you think about it that way. One Tango, again, might be too few. I like the fact I mean, honestly, I think this build is fine. This is completely reasonable. I can't complain about this. If you had less than 4 Tangos, if you had like 2 or something, I'd maybe not be cool with it. Soul Catcher, I'm not sold on here. Just because, I mean, it's very mana efficient. In that way, I like it. But now you don't have Shadow Poison to zone. You also don't have Shadow Poison to stack. You don't have Disruption. I don't know. I'm not sold on it. Let's see how you play this. You should have checked his items. I don't know if he did. He does not have good tank items. You're running back to pull, I'm guessing? Okay. You already messed up. Support messed up. First, we'll press play. Did you stack? Okay, you did. Now, look what you did here. Knowing now that there's 2 heroes in this lane, what you did was correct. That you should stack. But you gave up on zoning him and guaranteed that he got experience so that you could stack. So I thought you were going to stay here. Like, you started hitting him. Let me go back and see if you saw the bottom. So maybe you just saw the bottom. You did not. You went back to stack. So, rather than stacking this as well, I would prefer that you would instead stack this camp and do a side pull at the same time. I think that would be better. But guarantee this guy doesn't get experience, because right now, okay, he's bad because he didn't walk like an inch closer. But he just got almost a free level 2 from you being gone. Like, all this time, you're gone. Alright, and now you are waiting to pull. Now it's okay to pull because there's 2 heroes. But if this is truly an offlane Ogre Magi, then you should consistently zone him. So if you do plan to go back and just pull like this, it just would have been better if you single pulled. Like, you already lost your potential in some ways. Like, if you just pulled this instead, it was kind of close by the time you got there. But if you just... okay, you had no chance. You could have side pulled though, 100%. Well, you should have done a side pulled. It would have guaranteed the whole creep wave died. You probably could have killed at least one in the neutral. Once the creeps got over here, there's no way they could mess up the contest. Although they could arrow it with bottom, that would help a little. This is like one of the more inefficient ways to do it, but it does at least deny the creep waves, which is good. And now they're all going to die, which is good. That is finally happening, but I think it's just... I think it's less than ideal. Because you basically got experience for 1 camp, that's it. Or 1 creep, that's it. So it will help, but it could have been better. And I do like that you left the lane so Jug got the experience in a way. Alright, now you're kind of in trouble. And you still have Soul Catcher, by the way. If this was any other skill, it would have been superior. Again, don't... Okay, that actually worked, but don't stack down. You should stack left or right on this. Even going diagonal is a little iffy sometimes. It kind of works out, but it's sort of dangerous. Another thing, though, about Jug getting the free experience, I do want you to get experience, though, because you got Soul Catcher level 1. We'll see what you get. I think you have to go Disruption. Pretty sure. You actually got Shadow Poison. That could be argued, that's okay. I think if you use the Shadow Poison to clear the creep wave, it's cool. Why'd you bring sentries? I think you saw them place the ward or something. You're very absent from this lane, to be honest. Jug has kind of been soloing this lane in a lot of ways. You got Shadow Poison so you could stack more. So you have this, like, this affinity for stacking, but you're doing it badly. This never works. This is like the 4th time I've seen you do this. Again, if you just pulled it the other way, you could eat one tree right here. I don't know which one you should do. They're both a stack time of 53 is the problem. Did you know this was here? Tango it, tango it, tango it. Okay. That's fine, you're not missing that much. Again, use the sentry ward to just guess. I think this is unnecessary. Unless you saw them place the ward, then it's fine. I don't know if you saw the ogre place it. Maybe you saw it. If you saw the ogre place it at the start of the game, it's okay. But in which case, you should have put a sentry there, not a ward. I don't think the ward here is good. Your wards, this game should probably be located in a place where it protects the mid lane from being arrowed by Mirana. That's the biggest rotation likelihood. Or maybe once Nyx gets 6, you can use a sentry for that. But you got lucky on the ward here. Maybe you knew it was there, but it looked kind of iffy to me. So, back to the lane. Camps are stacked. Still haven't farmed them. Finally back to zoning the lane a little bit. Like, the fact that Jug has even gotten this much levels and not been contested very much is pretty amazing. He really should have been pressured a lot. And again, you're going to do the stack again, it looks like. Like, you just can't stack this many times in that kind of a wraparound thing. You did actually get this one, but that's because you pulled left this time, like I said. Just very difficult to do that stack. Even casting Shadow Poison on these guys, what does it do? Just slightly scares them. If these guys weren't bad players, this would accomplish nothing. You're also very under-leveled now at this point, because you've spent almost all of your time just stacking camps. You haven't cleared them, you've only pulled one time. I believe you've only gotten one small creep worth of experience in this whole game. And again, you're going to stack again, but again, how are you going to clear these? This would have been a cool strategy if you were doing this like a long time ago, when neutral creeps didn't give experience or magic resistance. Like, look at your hero levels. They're bad too because they're bad players, but you are really behind. Last game it kind of worked because you had a Tinker, but who's going to clear your stacks now? Jug Spin or something? That's not going to be easy, considering that they have magic resistance. Like, you could just pull this whole time. We're like 6 minutes in. Finally pulled. And you got most of the creeps, I guess. Just Shadow Poison this. Just kill it. Like, the problem is that, like, as soon as you stack a small creep, it's always going to clear the creep wave, because they do piercing damage, which is bonus against creep waves. So as soon as you pull, you got to clear that shit. Just spam Shadow Poison. Honestly, just cast it 5 times. This whole thing dies. You can pop a Clarity to get most of your mana back, and you're going to be level 4. Like, as soon as you stack this 3 times, clear that shit. Use Shadow Poison, cast it 5 times. You're really not doing this well enough. If you want a pro example, just watch Pilot Eye play Shadow Demon. He stacks the camps a lot when he plays Shadow Demon, and it's pretty effective. He gets items more often that he can use in teamfights to do good things, and he gets more levels. So again, you're kind of just super sacrificing yourself. It's good that Jug is 6. This is amazing. But all you've done is stack camps for somebody to eventually farm, but you never farm them. Like, it's just as likely that a good player on the enemy team would notice, hey, there's a bunch of stacks here, let's go clear them. And they'd rotate down here with 3 heroes, maybe kill your Jug, and then clear your stacks. And then all that work that you spent on it was just hurt. Like, you could just do a side pull right now. Just side pull this and spam Shadow Poison like 5 times twice. This whole wave would die. And you would deny a whole creep wave experience. I like the Sentry Ward here because they are at 6, so they could... Potom's not, though. So with that said, I think you're maybe a little too early with this. But did Jug leave? Looks like Jug left. I mean, you maybe could have killed that guy there. I'm not sure. Let's see what you do next. You should do a side pull. Like, you're kind of like... You're basically trying to do nothing that's core related, and I think that's a mistake. Nobody's in your lane right now. You can get experience in last hits for free. These are 50 creeps, or 50 gold each. But maybe you're scared of the ogre, which is fine. Just go back and pull. Do a pull. I'm not sure what you're going to do instead. Probably try to stack again. But I just don't think that's worth it. I'm glad you did a different camp at least, because the other ones were clearly not working. But again, all of this effort that you've put into the game so far has not accomplished anything. You've got 4 creeps and 1 assist. That's it. You've done almost nothing. Now you're come on, like you could have done this so much earlier. You could have done this when you did a stack. Pop it now. Definitely pop it now. Okay, that was a waste. All right, now you're really messing up. Anything more than 5 stacks, it only adds an extra 65 stack damage. Whereas if you stack 5 times, it multiplies up to 16 times 65. So 5 stacks does, with 4 skill points, it does like, whatever it is. Well, let's do 35 times 16. I can calculate it with the calculator. 35 times 16 equals, this does 560 magic damage with a level 2 shadow poison. So you'd probably have to do this twice minimum, not to mention this guy has a minus magic resistance creep or aura. So you probably have to do it like 3 times. It's kind of expensive. That's why you should do a side pull when you do this. Because then you can cast it, do AoE damage, your creeps will help you clear them, and you should be able to clear this fairly fast. But casting him this many times, like look, you just farmed your camp. Like you worked on this shit for so long. You spent so much time on this. And you didn't even get the gold for it. Potom split it with you, actually. Maybe the gold, maybe the experience as well. Alright, I do not know his... Oh, Pudge on Cisco, I see. That's unfortunate. What was it really unexpected, guys? Oh, that was a perfect juke. That was really nicely done by Order. No mana for you, no disruption. He lives. Now we got 5 heroes mid. And you guys all look dead. Hit him, damn it. Yeah, there's no way this goes well. It's over there. Oh, no. I assume you're healing? Yeah. Good plan. So, you're in base. You're not even 5 yet, by the way. You've basically been in a safe lane the whole time. Their offlaners haven't been pressuring you, and you still haven't gotten yourself any experience. Did you have vision of this? You could have potentially seen that TP. I heard it. This was a kill you maybe could have gotten. I don't blame you too bad for trying, but I think it was a little bit. Considering like how behind you are in levels, I think this was really hopeful. Like if you were more leveled, like that guy's level 8 at least before he killed you there, and you're level 4. Like you killing him is so unlikely. Skill points are massive in the early game. Got Tranquils this game. Moving the bot lane. Still would love for you to have Tranquils, or I'm sorry, Raindrop. Again, you keep warding the same places. What's the point? You like waste 100 gold here every time you ward, just in the off chance that they might have a ward. Or maybe it's the Invis heroes. Not sure, but I don't think it's worth it. Alright, this is what you should have done like all game. Boom. Wow, you got, like, how much gold did you just get? You just gave yourself 160. You gave yourself like 140 gold. It's not a shitload, but it's pretty good, considering it only cost you 5 times Shadow Poison. And the levels especially is a big thing. That could have been a level on the laning stage. And now you've gone mid. For what reason? Like, you're farming creeps holding the lane. Like, I don't know, your movements around the map are just not... They don't do anything. You're just kind of going places. You're going places and you're attacking creeps and stuff, but you're not grouping... You're not doing smart ganks. Like, smart ganks would be smoking with your team here, wrapping around, and then when they're farming creeps, you just kill them from this angle. That would be a good thing. But you come into the lane and just hitting creeps like that and hoping that maybe Pudge gets a hook. What are the chances? First of all, they might not even be there. In which case, you have 3 heroes standing mid, which you guys quickly realize and just kill the creep wave. Or if Pudge misses his hook, you guys waste your time anyways. But if you just buy a smoke there, and you pop a smoke with like 3 of your allies, and then you wrap around, and then you execute a gank here, that's good. And yeah, maybe, okay, your Sentry Ward actually was valuable this game. Wow, that guy's really tanky actually. Why is he so tanky? Roller hook. I just really wish you had a little bit more mana here. Oh man, Sniper's gonna kill him. Oh, whatever. As long as you guys got track hold. Alright, I'm done being distracted. Let's see what you were doing here. So, no mana. Oh, you got clarity potion. That's pretty good. Literally no reason for you to soul catcher him. There's nobody else doing damage. You just wasted your mana. Now you don't have mana again. If you had a magic wand, I bet you'd have a lot more mana in this fight. And now it looks like you're just dead. No reason for you to die there at all. And you also accomplished very, very little with your skills. I want to watch that whole fight again. From the context of, did you get value out of you being there? Alright. So, here's the start of the fight. Going for the ogre. Oh, here he is again. How'd you start? Alright, Soul Catcher, totally down with that. Shadow Poison, I'm cool with that. Disrupting that guy, I'm cool with that. You're using your skills well. Another Shadow Poison, I'm cool with this. Gives vision, drops Shadow Poison on 3. I'm down. Ravage was a bit iffy, but it worked. And now you're pretty much just done. You can't do anything else in your fight. If you had level 6, and you had like a wand, 100% you can ulti somebody. But as soon as you wasted the rest of your mana here, and you got mana burned obviously, but I mean that could have been, you could have magic wand, you could have infused raindrop, you could have a lot of things that would allow you to do more in the fight. Like you running in here, is this worth it? Look at the fight. And you haven't been, by the way. Remember all the stuff I looked at for Tide diving the tower? In the meantime, you're just like right-clicking this guy, but you have no mana. At the very least, you should look over this direction to see what's happening. And now, just now you finally looked up, and it's clear this guy's already dead. He's used his ulti, there's wolves there that can block a hook, and now you see Tide's dead over here, and Bounty's low, like, everything is super over at this point. Like, the first part of the fight was good, but your chase was weak, and you're definitely not moving your camera enough. You have to move your camera more. Gather more information. And then sometimes you just have battles over sentries. Looks like you're trying to buy Yules this game. I'm not sure why. Maybe... I don't know why. I don't think Yules is amazing. I would get Glimmer Cape this game. You can go invis against all the nukes. They have chain disables. Basically, you can Glimmer somebody that's in trouble. You re-see how you did this fight. TP was good. One poison. That was good. You got the kill. Disruption here. That's fantastic. I would ulti this immediately. Definitely ulti that immediately. You're relying too much on your enemies, your allies, to throw disables. Like, as soon as he comes out of disruption, just demonic purge him. 50-second cooldown. It'll burn your mana, but maybe I'm overestimating, but I definitely would ulti there. That sentry is all right. I guess that's pretty good because you have one behind your tower. This is similar to before. You shouldn't be hitting this tower. 100% that should not be you hitting it. At least not there. Stand over here. It's safer. Because then you're closer to your sentry, number one. And you're farther away from their initiation point, which is here. If you're standing here and attacking a tower, they can nuke you from here with most nukes. Alright, at this point, TPing bottom. Ooh, I'm not sure about this one. I like your skill build better this game. Got a Void Stone. This is a really expensive way to increase your mana pool. Even something like an Urn would be a lot better in some ways. It doesn't give you as much mana, obviously, but you get a Bracer, and you can buy it earlier. And you can buy Sage's Mask. Or you could have Raindrop plus Urn, or something like that. I actually like this ulti. I would just ulti him. Oh, you were so late there. Honestly, just ulti him. If somebody's out of position, that's when you use your ulti, every time. That's how you should think of Demonic Purge. If somebody's if it's a hero like Sniper that doesn't want to be this close to people, if somebody's out of position, use it. Keep them out of position longer if they don't have a Blink Dagger or a Force Staff. Keep them out of position. I would just ulti right there. Soul Catcher ulti. He sits right here. He just dies. You ended up living here, but just barely. And to be honest, I don't know if you will live. Okay, you do live. But that was real iffy. And if you weren't that close to the tower, there's a chance that you would have been able to place like a sentry down so that he doesn't get close to you with vision. Everything about that got a little iffy. So it'd be great to farm this. Yeah, this is perfect. Definitely kill this. I would nuke this with all your Shadow Poisons. Oh, I don't know why you let that break. I would have killed that. Oh, it's got Centaurs. It's actually kind of bad. I'm guessing you probably told the Jug to farm it. But this is the issue, of course. Without a Battle Fury, you can't do it very easily. what the easiest way to do that is to pull it, like push the bot creep wave and then do the side pull, and then with the side pull, looks like your sentry will actually find the ward here. Oh, that's not good. That was a good try. Looks like they're, oh, now you got ring. Come on, man. You have that 3 minutes. 3 minutes and you're ready to party with that. Alright, goodbye. Observe wards. This is another issue with the way that you're warding, is that almost everything that you're warding is near the Roche area. And warding near the Roche area is sometimes good, but when you go to ward, you're doing the same things. You run all the way through the river and you put a ward in an obvious place. And just going here in the first place is super dangerous, as you just realized, I'm sure. Oh, if you walk across the river where everybody has wards and then put an observer ward down and then put a sentry ward down, anybody that has vision of you when you do this says, well, that's the most obvious observer and sentry I've ever seen. And then they react to you because nobody is dead on the map and you're going across the river into a really dangerous position to put a ward down. Like, the times that you're choosing to ward are super dangerous consistently. Whoa, did you drop the ball here? I would have, you know, I don't really fault you for this. I would ulti definitely, yeah. That should be a kill. Because your illusions should do a lot. Okay, that was good. The way you ultied there, though, I wish you did that every single time that you ultied. I'm actually pretty happy with your skill build, too. I like this.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Look, that guy might ravage.
Radiant's top tower is
I would consider just ulting that guy. Definitely no. Just ulti the sniper. Alright, you're late. You also let him see you. You can see her. He can see you right now.
Radiant's top tower.
Right when you stood here is when you messed up. Right there. He should have seen you cross because it's daytime. I would just approach and ultied him. And then Tide could move forward and ravage. It's kind of dangerous because of the Purge being over here. This is great. Definitely run now. Don't even cast Shadow Poison. If it's somebody that fast, just run. Like, you've wasted minimum 110 mana right there. And, you basically counteracted the fact that he was unable to move for 2.5 seconds by the fact that you stood still and casted 2 spells. And I think you turned around twice. 2 sets of turnarounds to cast it in the first place. So let's watch your hero. Alright, so you casted Disruption, then you turned, and your hero had to turn to run away. And then you said, hey, I want to cast Soul Catcher. So you turned around again to cast Soul Catcher. And then you turned around to run away again. And you said, hey, wait, I want to cast Shadow Poison. You basically turned your hero 6 times to cast these spells. Instead, you could have been like, Disruption, Soul Catcher, Poison, turn, run. That's 2 turns. 1 turn. You, looking at him, turned again to cast, ran away, turned again to cast. 4. You turned 4 times, you could have turned 1 time. Waste your time. And then your distance from him when he comes out of the Disruption is far less. That's dangerous, man. Alright, this is good. I like your ulti usage here. Solid. That was good. It seems like your game sense of like when to use your spells is pretty good with the exception of your ulti mistakes. Definitely. I think that was a slight mistake. You probably should have waited until... You probably should have waited until the shot came through. That way it wastes the sniper's mana and put a skill on cooldown. I would have liked that better than the way they used it right away. You can click the icon on Pudge to see when it's about to finish. And use that to know when you should stop. I think that was a little unnecessary in some ways. Good ulti, I like that. He's invisible, unfortunately. Oh, just throw a Shuriken, damn it. Oh, if he just threw a Shuriken, that was a kill on any creep. Whoa, what happened to your hero? You don't even know, you just died. Okay, you got killed by Lycan is what happened. Maybe you did know, I'm not sure. But you dead, that's for sure. You real dead. So, dead, you got your Yule Scepter though. I'm not a huge fan of Yule's. I think it's maybe one of the worst Shadow Demon items you can buy first. Partially, first of all, it's really expensive. The benefits that it give you aren't amazing. I mean, the Void Stone's cool, but I think it's overly expensive for what you want out of an item. You still have very low HP if you're not paying attention or they chain stun you. Yule's does nothing. If you have a Glimmer Cape, at least it blocks some magic damage. And you can use it on enemies or allies or yourself, Whereas Yules is only used to either use it on yourself or to Yules opponents. It's not as good as like Disruption for that reason. If you could use Yules on allies, everybody would buy it as a support, guaranteed. But in this game, I think, like I said, Glimmer is better, and maybe Force as well. I would probably go like Glimmer and maybe Glimmer Yules, but I definitely won't get Yules first. Definitely not. Almost every game that I get Yules first on a support, I realize that I fucked up. I would absolutely not disrupt myself. I would disrupt my opponent instead. Yules him. Okay, great. Good choice. Doing this well. Dodge the arrow. Alright, you're good. You played that great. Oh, damn. He almost got his ult off. Alright, good. I like that. I think your disruption was a little unnecessary, but whatever, it works. Hero dies. And now, like, you're finally into a good place. Like, you're even farming a lot better this game. Maybe that's just because the amount of fighting you're doing. But you do have 38 CS. I feel like you didn't have this many last hits last game. And I feel like the amount of action that happened was far less as well in the previous game. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, your playstyle only works if your team is good. I mean, like, this game is pretty much going better because your team is consistently grouping together. You guys are actually working as a team. In the last game, that pretty much didn't happen. There was no teamwork, and that's why the game felt like shit, and why you didn't get items, and why you were pretty behind pretty much the whole time. In this game, things are going well because you guys are constantly together, and you're using your skills. You're having the chance to use your skills, and your allies are using their skills fairly well also. So you're basically constantly 5-manned against their gank lineups, and at some point you're just not getting picked off. But so you're ahead this game, and it looks better, and it looks like, hey, my allies are competent, so this is why I'm winning. But it's not about your allies just doing better. It's about, like, the way you play the game right now, and the way that you approach the game right now, it only works if your allies are also kind of on the same page as you. You're not doing the things that allow you to control the game for yourself and your team, if that makes sense. So you're on this, like, narrow pathway where, like, you're hard supporting or whatever and spending shitloads of money on wards and sentries, but then you get to the mid game and you just start getting crapped on by invis heroes that have Dagons and Fed Rickies and crap like that, who only roamed, by the way. You just get crapped on them because you don't have any items and you don't have your levels fast enough to back you up to get you into this good position. The only reason you caught up this game is because you kept team fighting with your team and your team used good skills. So it was fine. But if your team didn't actually be anywhere reasonable, then you just would have gotten crapped on because you were also behind. You're basically playing like a style where you lose your lane automatically because you do a bad job pulling, and then you might win the lane by getting kills and then go about even. And if you lose the lane with kills, then you're way behind and you just get shit on completely. And then if the mid game goes even worse, then you're absolutely game's over stomp. So you're like starting your game, you're starting your game off on the back foot consistently, and you're always behind. And this is a big factor for tons of support players. Every time they play Crystal Maiden, they're like, dude, I never win when I play Crystal Maiden. That's because they're always behind. They're never proactive in getting kills. And neither were you this game. You never went to a lane and set up a kill. You would just be somewhere where an engagement happened. It's by far the biggest thing that plagues 2K MMR players. You have to be proactive. Plan to be somewhere where you guys can get a kill. Get a fast level 6 by doing stacking in between zoning your opponents while pulling. And then with that level 6, get full mana, pop a smoke, wrap around mid, and just ulti somebody with Soul Catcher, and that allows Pudge to hook them without disrupting, obviously. Like, you can create ganks out of stuff, but you have to do it in a smart way. And that alone would have killed Sniper, gotten Pudge another kill, maybe forced Ogre to rotate and got him less experience and pressure your Jug less. Like, everything has effects, but you did nothing aggressive this game. You basically just sat back, stacked, didn't clear the stacks, eventually got Tranquil Boots, put wards down everywhere but not very efficiently, and we're just always behind. And you only started catching up because you use your skills well. That's your best thing as a player by far, is that you use your skills quite effectively. You pretty much use all of your skills when I would use my skills, with some exceptions. And obviously there's better players than me or whatever, but you use your skills well, completely, but you're always behind in levels, and you're never setting anything up proactively. And that's what you have to fix. And maybe that's weird to say because I didn't necessarily tell you what exactly was proactive, but like I said, fast 6, set up a gank, or move into the enemy jungle with observer wards and put sentries down as you're pushing. That way, if the invis heroes come to gank, then you're covered and you just kill them anyways. Like those are the first couple fights from like the 10 to 20 minute mark is where your proactive things really take place as a support, like super take place. And they should take place for the rest of the game as well. Always being in position, that way you can set up kills. Shadow Demon has that benefit more early game than he does in the super late game. But there's a lot of late game carries or late game supports, even like Ogre, Nyx Assassin, Mirana's, Lions, heroes like that can always affect the game. And in terms of an initiation setup in the late game, always be the one that's ready to initiate to allow your team to TP into the creeps. That way they can get the kill, stuff like that. All right, so I'm sure we're around an hour. If we're not, I am sorry about that, but I really need to start taking a timer. Thanks for signing up for coaching. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the delay in this. I think we're at about 6 days, so a little bit late, but I did go to the UK, so maybe whatever. All right, thanks for signing up. I will see you guys later. Bye.